So let's talk about Bessemer, Alabama, you guys, because it is not good news. And I don't want to be bumming you out all night, but we do have to talk about it. That's the other thing about being informed, right? Is a lot of times the news is depressing and it pisses you off. And, it makes you feel powerless. But you still got to know it's work. Being informed is work, right? Not that I would know, but working out, being healthy and lean and muscular, that's a lot of work. It's not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be fun to brush and floss your teeth. You gotta do it. You gotta do it to keep yourself informed and healthy in mind, but also keep the society healthy. It's part of why everything has gone to shit is the issues we have with media and the fact that just most people, they don't want to deal with it, or they'd rather take in information that just confirms what they already believe anyway. But anyway, if you didn't know, workers at the Bessemer, Alabama Amazon packaging warehouse and shipping warehouse have been trying to organize a union, and the efforts to unionize and the campaign to unionize has been well covered, and so has Amazon's efforts to bust it all up, to prevent it at every possible chance. They invested $25 million on this one warehouse of a few thousand workers from unionizing, because it would be their first workplace to unionize. They did this in New York. They've done it across the U.S. at different facilities as the company has grown. And I mean, Amazon for so long built these warehouses in states with lower taxes so they'd avoid taxes. That was part of their business plan, was to avoid taxation. Now, and now they want pats on the back for a $15 an hour wage, which Bernie Sanders had to shame them into giving, right? And they did all kinds of skullduggery around this campaign. They were able to change the stoplights on the way into work so that union organizers like these folks here wouldn't be able to have enough time to pass out literature to the people driving into work, because they had literally messed with the stoplights. There's now the more recent scandal that has just come to light, is that Amazon tried to press on the postal service, the post office, to install a drop box in an opportune place for them to have their workers put in there. They also expanded the group of workers that was trying to organize. They glommed in a bunch of other workers into that who would include the vote, because they felt they could manipulate the numbers. And so now it's come out, the workers have rejected unionization, a major win for the e-commerce giant. This is in the Washington Post. Amazon workers in Alabama on Friday rejected unionization, a major victory for the e-commerce giant in a high-profile, high-stakes battle that will have ripple effects across the nation for workers and the labor movement. Amazon, the second largest private employer in the United States behind Walmart, evil company, has successfully staved off attempts to unionize at its U.S. warehouses for more than 2 decades. The vote Friday, in which the company won over workers at its year-old Bessemer, Alabama warehouse by more than a 2-to-1 margin, was a massive blow for labor organizers who saw the facility and Amazon broadly as ripe for organizing. A union victory could have triggered a wave of organizing drives at other Amazon warehouses, potentially giving workers more flexibility to demand concessions from the company on things such as breaks, safety, and the pace of work. But the loss throws cold water on that and allows Amazon to add and cut staff at its warehouse as it wants. And I, would bet any amount of money that the employees there at this facility who are most active in the organizing around this, they are most likely, not going to. They're probably not going to have a very good time at the company after this. Let me put it that way. If they're going to last that long, they got a quote from Senator Bernie Sanders here. The history of the struggle is that you don't always win the first time out. Sanders said in an interview with the Washington Post, "You have to come back and do it again." Yeah, Bernie knows that. Bernie knows that the fight is sometimes it's very Sisyphean, battle where you're just rolling the boulder up the hill and it rolls back down. You got to keep doing that. I mean, look at how much progress he made. From 2016 to 2020, coming as close as he did. So, you just, and even if you're going to lose, you still got to fight the good fight. We're not going anywhere. Richard Trumka, president of the AFL-CIO, said during a union news conference after the vote count, whether Bezos likes it or not, this organizing drive is going to open the floodgates to more collective action. Yeah, and they're also, the labor union may be challenging some of the aspects and filing legal claims, not to overturn the vote or anything, but for the interference that Amazon ran. It's very clear that Amazon ran interference on this because they've done this before. I mean, they have a history of the way they treat their workers. This story's from The Independent. Amazon broke the law by firing workers who called for better COVID safety measures, board fines. Labor law enforcement agency suggests it might launch a national investigation in Amazon after it illegally fired its 2 most vocal employees last year, right? You see the sign, Jeff Bezos, we're ready to lead. Are you? Yeah, so the agency that oversees U.S. labor laws says Amazon illegally fired 2 of its most outspoken employees last year after they repeatedly raised concerns about the company's environmental and COVID safety practices. Emily Cunningham, that's her there with the microphone, and Marin Costa were given pink slips after the 2 started advocating for better working conditions during the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. National Labor Relations Board said. The board has told Cunningham and Ms. Costa that it will file a case of unfair labor practices against the online retailer if Amazon refuses to settle the case. It's a moral victory and really shows that we're on the right side of history and the right side of the law. So I talked last time about the infamous peeing in bottles situation, and just the fact that the way Amazon is basically, it's like we're in a second Gilded Age, right? And it's very illustrative of the power that companies have right now in the United States. Amazon should be broken up. Walmart should be broken up. I think Walmart should be nationalized, honestly. But there's all kinds of power that now corporate America, and not just, we used to think of fat cats in the old Gilded Age, and the fat cats and the bankers and the elites, but now it's just like corporations. Apple is sitting on just tons of money that they are not doing anything with. They don't know what to do with it. There are tons of billionaires, individuals who, are trying to farm out a bunch of their money into organizations and charities to launder their image, and they just have so much money. They have too much to do anything with. They're just sitting on it, right? And in reaction to the union vote, we see what the pro oligarchy people over at Fox Business have to say. Let me see if I can get that get the video up a little more. There we go. So just check
both
this
sides
out.
have been able to contest the eligibility of each and every ballot. Now union leaders are already calling foul, accusing Amazon of intimidating workers and unfair labor practices. The counting goes on, Stu, but either side can then legally challenge the results, or it could still drag on for some time.
I'd love to know how Bernie Sanders and AOC, how do they feel about this? Because they detest Amazon. They're all in favor of unions.
Absolutely.
They were pushing this from day one, but they're not going to get it. I'm waiting for their response. What do you think it's going to be, Ash?
Outrage, and they'll probably say the same thing as the union leaders. But you know what? The workers have had their say, and it's no. And I think that sends a strong message back.
The workers have spoken, just like us. We're workers here. Oh my God! It looks like the stock is going down. That's interesting. But Evil Yoda, I will get to your question in a moment. Let me just finish this segment here. I will answer your questions. I won't run from your questions. But Stuart Varney there, I wonder what Bernie Sanders has to say about this, right? Well, this is what Bernie had to say on Twitter. The willingness of Amazon workers in Bessemer to take on the wealthiest man in the world and a powerful company in an anti-union state is an inspiration. It takes an enormous amount of courage to stand up and fight back, and they should be applauded. And let's be clear, they were up against a company that was willing to spend vast sums of money and use every kind of tactic there is to defeat them. I support, this is the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union, calls for an investigation into those tactics. Hell yeah, Bernie. And here we go. Here's Bernie putting a cap on it. The history of every struggle in this country tells us that we do not always win the first time out. But I believe, as a result of their courage, workers in Alabama inspire significant growth in union organizing efforts around the country. And that is what I believe. I love Bernie Sanders. Organizer-in-chief. He did not win the presidency, but he's still organizer-in-chief. And I tell you what, guys, this kind of anti-union stuff is well supported by wealthy interests, and it's, Amazon's the biggest company in the world, right? Or, not the biggest, but one of the biggest, at least the second largest retailer in the United States. It might be the biggest company in the world, or the wealthiest company. But here, we have local examples of situations with unions that are quite troubling. This is the former paper I used to work for, the Sun in Santa Maria. If the website looks like cruddy, like it's from the early 2000s, that's because it is. They have not improved the website. When I was there, I was asking them to a lot. But anyway, very expensive. So this was from this week's paper. Santa Maria delivery drivers successfully vote out union, but union officials say members were swayed. Workers at a Santa Maria Valley delivery driving company recently voted to remove their union from representing them, while the workers' legal representatives call it a case of, quote, unwanted monopoly representation. Union officials say the vote is the result of a, quote, massive anti-union campaign by one of the largest private companies in the United States. Oh, imagine that. The process started when Allied Central Coast Distributing delivery driver Julian Marroquin submitted a decertification petition to the National Labor Relations Board in December 2020. According to Patrick Simmons, vice president of the National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation, the foundation provides free legal aid to workers pursuing union decertification. That's free lawyers for anyone trying to destroy a union on behalf of a company. So let's see. Petitioners must gather 30% of their co-workers for signatures. On March 23rd, 2021, the board reported the workers voted in favor of removing the union Teamsters Locale 986 as their bargaining representative. The results were certified on March 31st, and Simmons said the vote was split 10-7. Let's see. Now, I wanted to get to near the end. Let's see, this is from the local Teamsters guy. Allied Central Coast Distributing is backed by $1 billion companies, the Rays Holdings Corporation. So they launched a very massive anti-union campaign against us to try and get our group to decertify, and they were successful in it. Jeff Lee, business agent for Teamsters Locale 986, told The Sun. According to Forbes, Rays Holdings is the 8th largest private company in America. Geez, so, you see how the tentacles of these corporations slither all across the United States, and their suckers just attach onto, small, labor forces around the country. Lee alleges that Rays brought in non-union drivers from other facilities to ride along with Allied drivers and spread what he called anti-union propaganda. We actually filed a Cal OSHA complaint against them for bringing drivers in from the outside during a global pandemic and forced the employees to ride together in their trucks all day with these, we call them union busters. So there you go, folks. The anti-union thing is powerful. It's across the United States. And here you see it in any little locale around the country, including my hometown of Santa Maria, California. Delivery drivers are now not going to have collective bargaining because of this massive corporation, which, just buys up companies all around the world involved in delivery. And they injected these outside workers to basically be mouthpieces, anti-union mouthpieces. And some of this stuff was going on in Amazon in the Amazon warehouse as well. So very, very telling stuff.